Picture this. June, the woman who defied Gilead time and time again, faced with the impossible choice of going back into the heart of the nightmare she escaped from. Is it possible? Could she really return to Gilead willingly? In a world where revenge, survival, and family collide, June's decisions are never black and white. Today, let's dive into one of the biggest theories floating around for Season 6, Episode 10. Is June headed back to Gilead? Let's break it down. The motivation behind June's potential return as the series progresses. June's journey has been all about survival and rebellion, but something has changed. With every victory, there's a cost, and June has felt that cost more deeply than most. The brutal truth is that no matter how far she runs, Gilead still has a grip on her. Her family, her friends, the haunting memories of her life as a handmaid, all of it continues to pull her back. And this is where the theory starts to make sense. Could June, knowing she has unfinished business, be plotting her return after everything that's happened? It's hard to imagine her simply letting Gilead crumble without her. In Season 6, Episode 10, we see June face impossible choices as usual. But this time, it's different. We witness moments where she seems strangely calm, almost as if she knows the battle isn't over yet. Her bond with her family, especially with her daughter, has been a driving force in her fight. Yet June has never been one to follow the usual path. She's not someone who'll let things go unless she's absolutely sure the job is done. Gilead is her nemesis, and it feels like the show is nudging us to consider the possibility that she may return to finish what she started, to tear down Gilead from the inside out. If she does, it would be her most dangerous and daring move yet. June's desire for revenge, one of the strongest driving forces behind June's possible return to Gilead, is her deep-rooted thirst for revenge. She's lost so much in her life: her daughter, her identity, her sanity. But the most significant loss for June was seeing her friends and fellow handmaids suffer in ways too cruel to imagine. Her need for justice has been a slow burn ever since the very first season. And with each passing episode, it's clear that her thirst for revenge is something that still motivates her actions, even if it's not always at the forefront. Season 6, Episode 10 brings June's inner conflict to the surface. While she's been focused on survival, she's also been witnessing the fall of Gilead from afar, something she could have never imagined. However, even with all the victories, the personal losses are too much for her to let go. Gilead, with all its corruption, needs to pay for what it has done. We see this fire still burning inside her when she faces off against people from her past, some she thought she had already left behind. Her interactions show just how much June still longs for revenge. Could this drive her back to Gilead, to bring it to its knees once and for all? If so, it could be her most personal and dangerous mission yet: the unfinished business with Commander Waterford. Another factor that may pull June back to Gilead is her unfinished business with Commander Waterford. From the beginning, Waterford represented everything that was wrong with Gilead. He was the one who orchestrated June's torment, the man who held the power over her body and soul. June's desire to bring him to justice has been a constant undercurrent throughout the series. With Waterford's death in the previous seasons, it seemed like that chapter was closed. But was it really? The truth is, June's need to confront Waterford's legacy and what he did to her, to other women, is still there. She's never really had the opportunity to face his actions in a way that truly felt like closure. As the show progresses, we see more of June's internal struggle with her sense of justice and vengeance. While she's fought against Gilead, at large there are still countless figures of authority within that system who've played a role in her trauma. Returning to Gilead could give June the opportunity to deal with these unresolved issues. Commander Waterford's influence is still felt in the structures of power. The fact that June hasn't had a chance to confront the full scope of the consequences he caused might be a piece of the puzzle that drives her back. Whether she's after justice or simply peace, June may have no choice but to return to Gilead to face the people and the systems that tried to break her. The emotional pull of her family. Even with all her anger and resentment toward Gilead, June has never been motivated purely by revenge. Her family, particularly her daughter, has always been at the core of her decisions. Her emotional ties to her family, especially to her daughter Nicole, have given her strength through the darkest moments. But what happens when those bonds are tested in new ways? In Season 6, Episode 10, we see June struggling with the idea of what comes next for her family. She's reached a point where she has to choose between her own survival and the safety of her loved ones. If June truly wants a future for her daughter, she may have to go back to Gilead to destroy it once and for all. The idea of her daughter growing up in a world still influenced by Gilead's reign is something that will haunt her. June is a mother first and foremost, and it's this deep love for her child that has kept her going. Could this emotional pull, the desire to protect Nicole and ensure her future, lead June back to the place that tried to break her? It's a powerful motivator. The possibility that she could return to Gilead not just to avenge the wrongs of the past, but to ensure a better life for her family in the future. June's transformation, a darker path ahead? What if June's return to Gilead isn't about redemption, survival, or revenge, but a full transformation into something darker? Up until now, June has been a symbol of hope, the one who keeps fighting against the odds. But what if, in Season 6, Episode 10, the show is hinting at a more complicated, even dangerous evolution for her character? Could she become a figure so consumed by her mission to destroy Gilead that she loses the very humanity that made us root for her in the first place? The signs are already there. As the series progresses, we see June making decisions that feel less like the actions of a woman seeking justice and more like someone willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve her goals. Her once steely resolve has begun to take on a darker edge. She no longer hesitates to put herself and her loved ones in harm's way if it means getting closer to toppling the Gilead regime. In Episode 10, this path becomes even more evident. We watch her face moments where the line between right and wrong starts to blur. She's not just fighting for freedom, she's fighting for something bigger, and in doing so, she may be becoming the very thing she once despised. Could this darker version of June be the true force that drives her back into Gilead's grasp? Her willingness to take on a more ruthless approach might be what finally leads her back to the heart of the nightmare. The danger of this transformation lies in its unpredictability. As we've seen, June isn't one to follow rules, and the further she walks down this path, the more unrecognizable she becomes. Is this what the resistance needs, or will June's evolution spell her undoing? One thing is for sure. If she returns, it won't be as the same woman who first escaped Gilead's clutches. Gilead's collapse. Is June the catalyst for its fall? Imagine Gilead, a twisted empire built on fear and control, beginning to unravel from within. For years, we've watched its brutal systems of oppression crush countless lives. But could June be the spark that finally brings it down? What if her return to Gilead isn't just about revenge or closure? What if it's a calculated move to bring the entire regime to its knees? The possibility that June, with her history of defying impossible odds, could be the one to lead Gilead's ultimate collapse is both terrifying and exhilarating. Throughout the series, we've seen cracks begin to appear in Gilead's foundation. Commander Lawrence's quiet descent, the Resistance's growing influence, and the shifting power dynamic suggest that the mighty empire isn't as invincible as it once seemed. Episode 10 doesn't just mark a turning point for June. It hints that the walls around Gilead are starting to crumble, and June may very well be the one to knock them down. What if her return is strategically timed, as Gilead teeters on the brink of its downfall? By going back, she could exploit the fractures within the system and push them to the breaking point, something no one else could. Think about it. June's deep knowledge of Gilead's inner workings, her ability to manipulate those around her, and her reputation as a fierce force of nature could make her the ultimate weapon in this war. If she decides to return, it won't be to hide or survive. It'll be to finish what she started. She would become the catalyst for a revolution, tearing down the empire from the inside out. But as the series has shown, No revolution comes without its sacrifices. June's return to Gilead could cost her everything, but in the end it may be the only way to bring true justice and dismantle the horrors that have shaped her world. Serena Joy's shift. Could she turn against Gilead? For seasons now, Serena Joy has been trapped in a web of power and manipulation, torn between her role as a high-ranking official in Gilead and the faintest traces of her humanity. But what if there's more to her character than the show has let on? Could the woman who once helped build Gilead's brutal regime finally turn her back on everything she stood for? As June battles her inner demons and considers returning to Gilead, Serena's transformation might be just as crucial and just as dangerous. From the very beginning, Serena was a complex character, embodying the paradox of someone who's both a victim and a perpetrator of Gilead's cruelty. But over the course of the series, we've witnessed her quiet moments of doubt, her struggles with the oppressive system she helped create, and her growing distance from the very rules she enforced. In Season 6, Episode 10, the cracks in Serena's loyalty to Gilead become more visible. Her once unshakable commitment to the regime has faltered, and this episode could very well be setting the stage for her eventual betrayal. Could Serena, after everything she's endured, finally realize the horror of Gilead for what it truly is? Imagine the possibility. Serena, who once sought to maintain her power within the system, might now see that Gilead's collapse is inevitable, and she may decide to be a part of that destruction rather than its defense. Her motivations may still be tangled in guilt, self-preservation, and perhaps even a twisted sense of redemption, but the seeds of rebellion have been planted. If Serena were to shift allegiances, it wouldn't just be a game-changer for her character. It could be the tipping point for Gilead's downfall. Could she perhaps become an unlikely ally to June and the Resistance? It's a dangerous game, but Serena's complicated relationship with Gilead could mean that her true role in the future is much more than just a villain. It could make her an unpredictable force capable of tipping the scales in unexpected ways. The endgame. What happens after Gilead's fall? If June returns to Gilead, if Serena turns against the regime, and if the Resistance rises to claim victory, the ultimate question remains: what happens after Gilead falls? After all the blood, sweat, and tears shed in the name of freedom, what does a world look like when its darkest empire crumbles? For June, it's not just about defeating Gilead. It's about what comes next. How does a world shaped by years of oppression and control rebuild itself? How do people like June, who have been broken and reformed by Gilead, find a way to move forward? In the final moments of Season 6, Episode 10, there's a palpable tension in the air. The story isn't just about defeating Gilead. It's about confronting the aftermath. After all, what does freedom mean in a world where so much has been taken from you? June's journey has been about reclaiming power, but even with Gilead's fall, the scars of what happened will last forever. The question of whether June can truly find peace, whether anyone can, will be at the forefront of the final chapters of this saga. Will she become the symbol of hope for a new future? Or will the weight of her past actions drag her down in ways she never anticipated? And then there's the bigger question of the new world order. After Gilead's collapse, what comes next? Will the world simply return to normal? Or will the remnants of Gilead's horrors continue to haunt the survivors? There are those who will try to rebuild, and others who will want to return to the old ways. June and the other Resistance members might have fought to destroy Gilead, but can they truly create something better? The endgame of The Handmaid's Tale isn't just about the fall of a regime. It's about the fragile, unpredictable nature of freedom and the long, hard road toward healing a broken world. In the end, the theories surrounding June's potential return to Gilead are just the beginning. What happens after Gilead is gone is where the true challenge lies. Will it be a world worth saving? Or will the cycle of pain and oppression repeat itself in new forms? Whatever happens, it's clear that June's journey isn't over. In fact, it's only just beginning. The end of Gilead could very well mark the start of a new and even more difficult chapter, one where the real fight is about what kind of future the survivors will build. And with June at the center of it all, We can be sure it won't be an easy path.